February 19, 2006, Daytona International Speedway. Jimmie Johnson's crew chief was suspended. Chad Knaus was caught with illegal car modifications and ejected before the biggest race in NASCAR. Johnson had to race the Daytona 500 without the man who'd been by his side for every win. Nobody gave him a chance. Jeff Burton started from the pole and led the first 18 laps. On lap 17, Brian Vickers lost control exiting turn 2, causing Martin Truex Jr. to hit the wall and bringing out the first caution. The field made pit stops and Elliott Sadler led the restart. By lap 48, Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart were running strong. Then, Gordon lost control and collided with Stewart's front. Both drivers were sent into the turn 2 wall. The second caution flew and Ryan Newman led the restart. On lap 79, the chaos continued. Jeff Green slid upward into J.J. Yeley's path in turn 3 after colliding with Dale Jarrett. The crash collected Joe Nemechek, Carl Edwards, and Kyle Petty. Edwards' car briefly mounted Petty's left side fender before both slid into the infield grass. The lead changed hands repeatedly. Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and Mark Martin all took turns out front. Then, on lap 107, the most controversial moment of the race happened. Tony Stewart went left and hit the front of Matt Kenseth's car going into turn 3. Kenseth was sent into the infield grass and backwards onto the track, where he hit the wall. NASCAR penalized Stewart for aggressive driving and sent him to the end of the longest line. As both drivers exited pit road, Kenseth went to the outside and collided with Stewart's right quarter. NASCAR ordered Kenseth to serve a drive-through penalty. Kenseth refused at first, disputing the call, but eventually served it on lap 114. The race continued with cautions on lap 124 when Robbie Gordon's tire failed, and on lap 176 when Travis Quapple's tire blew. Dale Earnhardt Jr. led more laps than anyone, 32 in total, but couldn't hold the lead in the final run. On lap 187, Jamie McMurray collided with Kurt Busch's left rear in the backstretch. Kurt Busch was sent into the barrier. Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon were collected. Just before the caution, Jimmie Johnson overtook teammate Brian Vickers on the outside in turn 2 for the lead. Then came lap 198. Jeff Burton slid up the backstretch and hit Jamie McMurray. Burton collided with the wall, then hit Bobby Labonte's right side. Both drivers struck the wall, and Labonte collected Denny Hamlin. The race restarted on lap 202 for a green-white checkered finish. Johnson led Newman and Casey Mears. The trio drove away from the field. On the final lap, Newman attempted to pass Johnson on the outside, but Casey Mears stayed with Johnson on the inside instead of drafting with Newman. Then, Greg Biffle spun and hit the wall on turn 4, bringing out the final caution. The field was frozen in place. Jimmie Johnson crossed the line under caution, his first Daytona 500 victory, the 19th win of his career. Casey Mears finished second, Ryan Newman came home third, Elliott Sadler and Tony Stewart rounded out the top 5. Crew chief suspended, started 9th, led the final 17 laps, won under caution. That's not luck. That's a team refusing to quit when everyone counted them out. Jimmie Johnson didn't just win the Daytona 500. He proved that adversity doesn't break champions. It reveals them. Chad Knaus was gone. The biggest race in NASCAR was on the line, and Jimmie Johnson delivered. This win launched a championship season. 5 wins, first of 7 Cup Series titles. When the pressure is highest and the doubts are loudest, champions step up and silence the noise. That's what happened at Daytona. That's racing. The 2006 Daytona 500 was historic in a couple of ways. This was by far the highest rated NASCAR race in history with 19.4 million viewers. This is peak NASCAR Cup Series. This is also the first Daytona 500 win by Jimmie Johnson, and 2006, as we all know, was his first championship of 7 historic championships. This diecast also marks the beginning of the Motorsports Authentics era after Action Racing Collectibles was bought out by them. This is also the first car with confetti. There's a lot more confetti on the real car. This one has taken out a lot of it. Now let's take a closer look We see on the nose, this car has been autographed by the manufacturer, and you see that confetti all over the car for the first time. We're seeing that. Down the left-hand side, very, very clean. He was out front. He had a really fast car, and you see those bits and pieces of confetti everywhere. The real car was absolutely covered in confetti, almost unrecognizable. Along the rear, see that Team Lowe's Racing, confetti everywhere. It's really beautiful how they really modified the car. Along the right hand side, very, very clean. Like I said, this car was absolutely caked. If you see the real pictures, you wouldn't know whose car it was. This car was raced and produced in 2006 by Motorsports Authentics. This is an elite diecast in a standard finish. The production quantity on this car was 200, and the DIN on this specific car is 149. And this car was purchased on eBay and purchased autographed. I forgot to mention that Denny Hamlin's Bud Shootout car was also a Motorsports Authentic car. In 2006, Motorsports Authentic took over for Action Racing Collectibles. So now this kind of started that next run, and we see they brought confetti, which is absolutely amazing. As always, I appreciate you guys' support. Take care. Enjoy the race.